Today we are going to dive into the concept of ROI, return on investment, and its importance to the business arena and to CEOs and other decision makers. Everybody is talking about ROI and its importance, but what is its real importance? Is it really the heart of decision making?
It's a great question, Tal. You know what every business person asks himself every time he does something? What's in it for me? And that's basically what return on investment is, right? What's in it for me? If I install or I implement or I purchase something, I want to know the value that it creates and generates for me, for my business, even in personal life. How does that changes my family style, my hobbies, and very specifically in the business arena, what's in it for me or return on investment is a critical metric when we come to measure any type of business changes. In our space, when you come to implement a business analytics solution, you want to know what can you expect from it. And typically, you either going to build a KPI around return on investment yourself and set the goals, or you're going to demand that it's going to be measured during the journey of that specific implementation.
So can we say that it is about ROI-based management? That's the way of doing things?
So I think that business intelligence specifically is built to improve processes inside organizations. And inherently, that means that there is a KPI behind it. It could be that it's going to be more complicated and more cumbersome to make decisions. And then maybe the ROI will be negative. So it really depends first and foremost on the measurements that the organization will eventually dictate to specifically, I would say, calculate how the return on investment is going to be managed. And I think more specifically, it needs to be human resources and eventually revenues. Can I improve both of them?
All right. A little more about ROI and BI. How BI is the main cornerstone of making the decision of ROI?
Yeah, so I think that when you look at analytics implementations, you need to think about two major KPIs. One is ROI, return on investment. The other one is what we call TCO, total cost of ownership. How much does it cost beyond just the software to own an analytics solution? Headcount, time to insight, maybe hardware that I need to have in order to assure that I can turn on the software and so on and so forth. I think we're trying to focus on the ROI, so we'll not necessarily talk about the total cost of ownership at this point, but I think in the analytics world, return on investment is critical because that's probably the only way to measure the utilization of those kind of solutions. We will typically look at use cases, and through the lens of those use cases, we'll be able to measure the return on investment. So the metric that I mentioned earlier, whether it's going to be human resources, it's going to be additional revenues, it's going to be time to market, it's going to be all of those KPIs that the business is measuring itself in its own universe will be also applied to the business intelligence implementation.
Right. I think some examples are needed. You rented use cases. Give me some examples.
Yeah, of course. So I'll try to give you examples from various industries. BI or analytics is implemented in any type of vertical. Pyramid is working in aviation. We're working in manufacturing. We're working in the automotive industry, in banking, insurance, and the list goes on and on. Maybe one interesting example in automotive, some of our customers are Jaguar, Land Rover, Volkswagen. We have OEMers in the automotive industry that support all kinds of automotive manufacturers. And one of the use cases that Pyramid is implemented in is in the assembly line of cars. And we're connected to all the IoT machineries. So we're seeing live stream of data coming from the assembly line. It used to take the car manufacturer about 2 months to call for a defect in a car manufacturing. Your seatbelt is crooked, your ABS system is not calibrated properly. The cost of recall is massive. If someone bought a car for a fortune, I don't know, $100,000, and then he's requested to come back to the factory and fix the car, that's a massive cost for the car manufacturer. When Pyramid was implemented, the ROI, the KPI that we were looking at is what is the time for a recall? And we were able to reduce it from 7 weeks to less than a day, to actually 8 hours, which means eventually that I can report almost in near real time that there is a problem with the car manufacturing. And by doing that, I saved you, first of all, 2 months of assembly line that is working uncalibrated. Second, recall for cars. You can probably look at it in the millions of dollars.
What is amazing in my eyes is that the car company, I guess many car companies, couldn't do that until they implemented your technology.
So, yeah, first of all, it is true that...
That is a smart factory, right? That's the industry 4.0.
First of all, it's true that the changes in the in the ROI while implementing a business analytics solutions are almost trivials in our mind, right? You're saying, listen, it's 2023. What? It takes you 7-8 weeks to do a recall? It's embarrassing. And the honest truth is that all of those heavy-duty industries, finance, insurance, banking, which are providing highly sophisticated products, are leaning on very, I would say, legacy solutions that are not necessarily using the cutting-edge technologies of today. And because of that, they are, I would say, unfortunately, dependent on old-school methodologies.
But so they aggregate the data, but they don't actually use it. They don't they have the benefits from the data they have.
It's first of all, yes, it's true. When you think about analytics, we like to talk about the cycles in the historical progression of analytics. And aggregating, restoring data is the first step to be data-driven, right? If I don't store the data, if I don't collect the data, if I don't refine the data and fix the data, it's not usable for me. So definitely the last few decades, the big investment was around the data side. Probably in the last decade, there's been a tremendous change in the way people perceive and use analytics from maybe what is called data visualization, pie charts. We also have pie charts, but they are as round as anybody else. It's more about solving operational use cases like the one that I gave you example on the manufacturing side. Maybe I can give you another example.
Yes,
maybe in retail. One of our customers, actually in the UK, we have a pretty strong presence in retail. Procter and Gamble, Palmolive is a customer of us. Pepsi is a customer of us. Kellogg's is a customer of us. So one of our customers is actually manufacturing produce that comes in boxes. And every day they have a shipping from the factory to all the warehouses and the fulfillment centers. They saw that they have about $30 million waste on annual basis. That's a massive number for a food manufacturer or a CPG, consumer packaged goods. and they were looking for ways to solve that problem. And as you said earlier, they are collecting the data, but they weren't able to solve the operational use case and connect to all of those, I would say, supply chain data points in real time, and then reporting on where the waste is. That's what Pyramid does. We sit on top of their data, and we can help them save that amount of money. So again, you're talking about millions of dollars saved on quarterly basis.
Are there cases where you're using your technology improve the business cycle and I don't know, enable the companies to gain much more income or so on?
So first of all, yes. I think saving on operational cost will eventually improve the bottom line. One example is actually in healthcare. So we have a massive install base in healthcare, some of the largest Blue Cross Blue Shield organizations in the US, which are the most probably complicated products that they sell to their customers. So one of them is using Pyramid to calculate the premium that a person needs to pay the company on monthly basis. It's called per user per month. And it's a very, very complex analytical exercise. I need to know each persona. I need to know your age, your gender, your health history, and so on and so forth. By doing an analytical optimization of the cost that this patient or this person needs to pay the insurance company, we can optimize eventually the risk reward, because that's insurance. We can optimize the risk reward, and by doing that, actually making sure that the gross margins of the insurer will be at the range that they wish it will be.
All right. Is it the point where AI joins BI in order to give the right, I don't know, decisions?
First of all, the easy answer is yes, absolutely. AI is a big part of that, and the ability to use non-rule-based automation structures on top of pricing or cost optimization is making this automation much more sophisticated and much more, I would say, robust as a solution. But even if you remove AI from the equation, the ability to sit on top of massive amounts of data, to be able to draw calculations, very, very complex, and then apply automation, which is the AI world, is something that is quite outstanding in that industry.
All right. I heard you talking about another use case that was, I think, airports. Is that thing you can tell us about?
Yeah, it's actually an interesting customer of us. We definitely support the aviation industry. One of our customers is actually an airport in the US, and they were trying to optimize the revenue that they generate from every person that comes through the airport. And think about it, there is parking lots, there are shops, there are additional costs from sending another suitcase to wrapping the suitcase to who knows what. And they realized that comparing to maybe other airports, and it's not a very, very big one, comparing to other airports, the revenue per traveler was not in line with the industry benchmarks. They started to implement Pyramid. They actually started to collect data across the entire airport. And within a year, they increased their revenues by 5x. So, that's an interesting way to think about optimizing the outcome of a traveler in an airport by putting additional signs, by changing pricing. It was quite a complex, interesting use case, which solved across the board everything that you can get inside an airport, but from a data and data analytics perspective.
All right. I'm interested in the point of the technology, and is there an advantage of one technology of BI on another? That means that is Pyramid can produce more ROI to company based on the same amount of data and say the same cost of technology.
So first of all, obviously, I'm not objective, and I'm.
Not so.
I think we.
But it is really interesting to ask this question. Everything is AI, but are all AI are the same?
Yeah, as I said, I'm not objective, and I definitely have a biased opinion around what Pyramid does, and I do believe that we have a very, I would say, outstanding offering in the space. But I will say that there are three major things that you need to think about when you want to implement a new analytics solution. One is the way you connect to your data assets. So there are two major ways to do that. One is called data ingestion. You basically take subset of your data, a small fraction of it, you put it into your analytics layer, and that's your computing power. It's great because it's quick and dirty. I can upload a quick sample into my desktop, and I can start playing with it and probably get quick results. The problem with it is that I actually don't see my entire data assets. And the second way to do data analytics or to connect to your data is through what we call direct querying engine, which is what Pyramid probably has the most, I would say, robust offering in the market. We connect directly natively to any data source in the space. It could be legacy BW from SAP, on-premise, and Snowflake and Redshift and anything in between. And by connecting to that entire ocean, not even lake, but an ocean of data, we can allow you to optimize the questions and the answers that you will get from your data. So that's one crucial, important thing to do. The second part is the depth of calculations. So eventually, what is analytics? Analytics is the way to do 1 + 1 = 7, whatever. And the deeper you can go into the calculations and the deeper you can go into your measures and hierarchies, which is mostly the way our data is structured, and the more profound ways you have to draw assumptions and eventually conclusions from your data, your analytics journey will be much deeper and much more sophisticated. And that's the second part that Pyramid offers. So direct querying engine. The second one is a very unique, profound data analytics engine that can provide a very deep calculation structure. And the third part is what you and I call AI, but let's call it automation of insights. Mm-hmm. Why is it important? It's important because we want to bring more and more users, more and more people, more and more personas under the fold of analytics. Analytics, and each and every one of us has experience with analytics, even if it's only Excel. The very simple stuff, it's quite easy to do. The very sophisticated stuff, quite difficult to do. You need to really know what you're doing. The problem is everything in between. And in between, there aren't many solutions that are easy to use, that are self-service enough, that can drive people like myself, who maybe has the basic covered, but I do want to ask the next question. I don't know how to do those exotic calculations, and I still want to be able to use my data to run my business. And that's where AI comes into play. The ability to actually automate through chatbots and search and NLP and NLQ, ChatGPT definitely brought a very, I would say, behavioral idea to the table that I want to talk to my data. I want to get answers. So why not be able to do that in my company? There are lots of reasons why it's difficult, but let's say that creating automation around narratives and free language and getting some essence about my business through AI is the third part. So summarizing it, connecting to your data assets, very critical. I want to connect to everything. I don't care size, location, complexity. The second part, I actually want to be able to do any type of calculation on top of my data and be able to draw assumptions and conclusions. And the third part is bringing every user under the fold of analytics through the utilization of AI.
All right. So when you look at the whole package, is that what's giving your customers a better ROI?
First of all, absolutely yes. The ability to get a wholesome experience from a single vendor, rather than, we started talking about TCO, total cost of ownership. There are definitely lots of great solutions in the market, many vendors. Analytics is quite an established industry. It's been around for decades. The problem is that it's heavily dependent on connecting various solutions to get a standard offering from end to end, from the data acquisition and data fixing and data cleansing through the analytics part, then to distribution of insights, right? And Pyramid offers out of the box a wholesome experience, end to end, soup to nuts, if you will, from acquiring the data through the distribution of automation and automatic insights, and anything in between. AI is woven across the entire platform in a way that I don't believe that anyone yet has been able to achieve in the market, which gives us a huge technological advantage in the space. But, you know, I think technology is maybe the first step in the door. Eventually, you know, what you brought to the table, which is return on investment and potentially TCO, is the way our customers will measure their success with using Pyramid. And that's where I think we outsmart, outshine, outperform everybody else in the market.
Right, amazing, because that's what I meant to ask you. I think we should maybe talk a little bit about how do you measure typically ROI. What can you say about that?
So, you know, I think measuring ROI is, first of all, not necessarily a vanilla story across the board. Probably each use case will have its own uniqueness in the way I want to understand if this exercise of implementing a analytics solution was valuable for me. But there are two things that are probably the most important ones. One is time to insight. How fast can I actually get an answer from my data? And, you know, you asked me earlier, what? It's 2023 and people still take weeks to get an insight? Yes, they do. And I want to know that I can actually produce insight potentially in real time, on the fly. I want to ask a question and get an answer. So that's the first one, time to insight. The second one is human intervention. Lots of analytics solutions requires massive people support. So from the data preparation to the data acquisition to the data ingestion to the creation of insights, and the list goes on and on and on, and it's heavily involved. I want to have a solution that is actually plug and play. I want to connect it to my data, and I want to start consuming insights. And that's where Pyramid probably outperform anybody else. It's implemented within minutes, and you're off to the races. All you need to do is point to your data. Because we don't ingest, you just connect to your data assets, and you can start actually asking your data questions and get answers. So again, to summarize the story, it's people and it's time, and those are probably the two matrices that we measure everything in life. It's true to analytics as well.
All right, let's talk about the third analytics, and that's KPI. Would you say that KPI in the BI space, would you say that the data and the data analytics can contribute to KPIs of a company?
So it's an interesting question. First of all, KPIs are an output of analytics solutions, right? I want to look at my key performing indicators and see what happened.
And I want to set those indicators, those key indicators.
True. So I was going to say that in the analytics space, we tend to think about few things. One is back mirror view. I want to look at the history and see what happened. And that's a typical KPI. You were up, you were down, you were red, you were green, you were happy, you were sad. But that's what history happened, and I cannot change it. The second part is what could happen. So that's predictive analytics. And if I will change the cost of my products, if I will reduce the cost of my headcount, if I'm going to increase the number of cars that ship my boxes to the warehouse, how's that going to affect my business outcome? And that's predictive analytics. And the third one is prescriptive analytics. Can I actually, the analytics offering, prescribe what the business needs to do? And you know what? Even do it for them. So in the world of KPIs, when we look at back mirror view, it's quite simple. It's either up or down, or happy or sad, or red or green. And that's nothing that I can do that will influence the history. When I take the history and I apply it forward, and I use analytics solution to actually help me predict what will happen should I continue to run my business as is. Maybe I'm going to be super profitable. Maybe I'm running into the wall. Maybe I have one product that is my best seller, and I have 5 products that are actually I'm losing money on. Why do I even keep them on the shelf? So there are lots of ways to make sure that I can improve my business just from the lens or just from the back mirror view, applying predictive capabilities.
So actually, what should companies pay attention to when they set their KPIs based on that data?
So first of all, I think first of all, you need to make sure that you understand your business very, very well, because setting KPIs could eventually lead to a misleading perception on your business. If you're only looking at certain KPIs and you ignore others, you might not have a full visibility of your business performance. So first and foremost, plan. Make sure that you plan your business in a way that will allow you to place those KPIs around what is important to drive your business. It could be your manufacturing assembly line, it could be your people, it could be your customers, it could be your marketing channels, it could be your operational processes, and the list goes on and on and on. But plan. Make sure that the KPIs that you're anchoring on are those that really drives your business. I think that we're tending to drown by KPIs. We look at too many KPIs, and that's also noise. It's too much data is also a problem. So this is where AI and automation can actually help you. We can consolidate multiple KPIs into a singular output that will be driven by AI. So I think that my first advice is plan. The second advice is improve and optimize. You'll get answers. You'll start to run your business from those KPIs. Keep asking questions. Are those the right KPIs? Am I actually looking at the right metric? Am I changing properly and get results? So get constant feedback on those KPIs. Don't just fire and forget. Business is a very dynamic animal, and as such, you want to make sure that you keep improving and precisely changing the KPIs according to your business performance. And thirdly, maybe that's a little bit more psychological. Make everybody in the company involved. Get everybody to stand behind those KPIs, because if that's going to be your North Star, you want to make sure that everybody's marching to the right direction.
And everybody is using the same data to reach those destinations?
First of all, in theory, yes. I think that various functions in the business could use different data points and data attributes. But eventually, if we're looking at a certain North Star, then that's where we're all headed. So even if we're coming from marketing and sales and operations and production, eventually it all needs to lead to happy customers. Yeah. If my customers are unhappy, I want to dial back and see. Maybe I brought the wrong customers. Maybe I'm giving them, products that are not satisfying. Maybe my sales operation is selling to the wrong people. And the list goes on and on and on. So I think that there are leading KPIs that the entire company should be measured on regardless of function. And there are leading KPIs that each function should be responsible for.
Yeah, my question was that if every department has its own data, there could be some confliction between them. But if we have one big cake of data and everybody takes a slice, its own slice, it's important, a slice that's important to him, maybe that's the way to make sure that we are on the same cake or the same page?
So first of all, you touched on one of the biggest challenges in this industry. It's called one version of the truth. One version of the truth is something that organizations are struggling with, regardless of what analytics offering they acquired. Obviously, we at Pyramid believe that because we're a end-to-end wholesome experience, we do provide a single version of the truth because you're running everything from a single platform. However, there's still arguments between different functions on the accuracy of the business KPIs just because they might be conflicting. But single version of the truth is definitely something that organizations should pay attention to. And when you buy a platform like Pyramid, you have much better chances of getting to that point of a single version of the truth.
All right. You reminded earlier the term time to value. Maybe you can explain a little bit further what are the best strategies, best practices to get there.
So time to value is something that, to a certain degree, it's a little bit vague, right? There isn't really a clear metric. What is time to value? If I got an insight immediately, but I haven't acted on, then who cares if I got the insight immediately? So let's start with the fundamentals. The basics are, I want to get an insight that is as near real time as possible from my assembly line, from my marketing operations, from my ERP system, from my manufacturing line, from my supply chain, manufacturing, produce, and the list goes on and on. So first and foremost, I want to make sure that it's very clear to me the insight that I'm getting needs to be as near real time as possible. So that's one. The second part is what are the insights that I'm getting and can they affect my business immediately? So not every insight that I will get in real time, I can actually go and fix in real time. So that's the second part. The third part is that I want to make sure that I can own the timeline for an insight. Why is it important? It's important because usually in analytics implementations, I'm dependent on multiple functions to help me produce that insight. I need to go to IT, I need to go to the business owners, I need to go to the analytics group, and each one of them is a blocker and a barrier. No disrespect to them, but that's the nature of the beast. If I can have a self-service, a true self-service, that I don't need to go through IT, I don't need to go through the analytics group, I don't need to go through the line of business. I can actually get the insight in real time myself without any barrier, any blocker, then I own my own destiny. And that, I think, is a critical part in time to insight.
And that is what accelerates the time to value?
So that's one of the things that accelerates time to insight or time to value. Mm-hmm. Obviously, the way you connect to your data can accelerate time to value. The depth of analytics that you can apply on your data is time to value. And maybe the more important part, and we've been talking about AI and automation of insights and the importance of decision making from the lenses of analytics. Time to insight or owning your own destiny is critical. If I can actually get to make the decision in real time through my analytics platform, then the time to insight actually have an immediate impact on my business. If there is a mission critical, I would say, operation that I need to do, and it took me 3 weeks, 7 weeks, 8 weeks to act on, I potentially lost the customer, I lost money, I produced the wrong product, and the list goes on and on and on. So the time to insight could be critical for businesses.
All right. Let's talk a little bit about risks. A company faces a lot of risks during its lifetime. Would you say that BI data analysis is a help in that area? It can alarm the company or change its decisions so the risks are mitigated?
So I think first and foremost, visibility, transparency is the first cure to problems, right? If I know about a problem, it's probably 50% of trying to fix it. So visibility to challenges in the business are critical. When you don't run your business with data or data analytics, you have a gut feeling, you feel that your business is slowing, you feel that you're talking to the wrong customer, you feel that your customers are unhappy with the products that they get from you, but you don't have an exact measure. It is brutal because data don't lie, but at least you have clear visibility to your business challenges. So that's the first part. The second part is that analytics solutions can actually offer some cures to those problems. If you change your pricing, you might sell more. If you reduce cost on your assembly line, you might be more profitable, and so on and so forth. So I think that analytics solutions are definitely key to help solving business problems. First of all, by transparency. Second, by go-to action, by telling you what you could potentially do and where the problems reside.
Right. It's funny, but these days, I think one of the main risks that a lot of people talk about is the risk coming from the data itself, concerning using of AI technologies to analyze the data, and sometimes fun results or even dangerous results are coming from it. Is there any aspect of that that's involved in your area, in your space of action?
So I think it's quite exotic to talk about automatic businesses, right? Everybody can go to the beach and AI will run my bank or will run my production line or my manufacturing company. I think we're very far from that. Today, analytics and data and AI specifically are definitely here to help. It is a revolution, and every revolution introduces risks and fear and, probably challenges, which I think businesses will easily overcome because it will help them allocate resources to maybe more productive areas. If I don't need to do the mundane job and I can, as a human, I can actually add more creativity and add to my function much more maybe experience and business structure and so on and so forth, then now I actually optimize myself. I become much more productive. So I think, yes, it is an interesting era where AI is, to a certain degree, disrupting the way businesses operate. But when you think about the agriculture revolution, when you think about the industrial revolution, they were all very scary. If you lived back then, oh my God, what will I do?
Machines will do the work instead of me.
Exactly. You'll have four-wheelers that will harvest the food for us and probably won't be necessary anymore.
Yeah.
And look at what happened. It actually advances the world. We were able to manufacture more food and maybe more health and so on and so forth. So I think that eventually there are lots of amazing advancements that will come from AI. I think it's clear that it's a little bit scaring and organizations have some fear from that, and we as humans feel maybe uncertain around the implementation of AI, but I really believe that it's eventually going to help us if we're going to use it properly.
I'm still curious about one point. One of the risks that everybody faced is hallucinations. The things like ChatGPT imagine things, or sometimes they say it lies. But in your area of business, I think that hallucinations couldn't. I don't think of anything that could be more severe than that. Data that is not reliable. How can you, combine the AI technology into your general technology without fears of hallucinations?
So maybe to be a little bit technical, but there are two. ChatGPT relies on a technology called LLM, large language models, right? They're public. They are based on billions of records anywhere online.
Right.
Organizations we'll need to find a way to lean on private LLMs. Basically, if I'm Bank of America or Citibank or Chase Bank and I want to use ChatGPT-alike technologies, I won't be able to go and use public domain. I will need to use my own LLMs, my private.
So you'll train the AI on your own data, not on the general internet data.
Exactly. So basically what organizations have already started to do is adopting technologies that are using private LLMs, basically trained models that look at my data, that looks at my profile, and allows me to use that to advance my business. We do allow external data, but that won't be for mission critical applications.
Mm-hmm. All right. Enough with this. I'm still interested in your customers and customer stories, experiences. Would you say there's a certain company that you can describe as the greatest ROI story among all your customers?
I need to think about one that is the greatest.
So many like this, huh?
Exactly. It's like asking someone which baby of yours you like the most, right? I think that, first of all of our customers will measure the implementation and usage of Pyramid in terms of ROI. So I think that we don't have customers that don't have a positive ROI. And because of that, they're still customers of us. When they will start to see that Pyramid doesn't add value, they'll probably churn. So we're making massive investments in making sure that whatever is your use case, whatever industry you're in, Pyramid will always deliver tremendous value and will be advancing your business to across all of your functions.
But let me ask it maybe a little differently. What the companies that have large ROI have in common? What are the identifiers of these companies?
Yeah, so I think complex use cases, very deep in data, that will have a mission critical impact on their business, from car manufacturing to healthcare providers through financial services. They all eventually sell very complex products that have quite sophisticated relationship with their customers. Insurance is sophisticated and complex. Banking is sophisticated and complex. Loans, securities, car manufacturing, airplanes manufacturing. Think about we're all walking into airplanes quite certain and safe, but do you have any idea how that airplane was built and assembled and manufactured? It's a very complicated process, and you want to make sure that you have visibility through the entire manufacturing process across the board. So I think that all of our customers will have very deep, sophisticated, mission-critical use cases that they will have to solve, and through that, ROI will be super, super high.
All right, we are getting close to the end of this talk.
That's a shame. I enjoy myself.
I enjoy every minute of it, and there will be more. But maybe as the last question for now, I would like to know what advice that you can give to organizations that are looking to maximize their ROI on their BI investments.
So first of all, I think that you need to make sure that you know what you're looking for. What is the problem you're trying to solve? Analytics can do eventually everything. It can find every gap in your business. It can help you advance any manufacturing process you want to do. It can help you build better products. It can help you improve margins. It can make you more profitable. But if you won't know what you're trying to solve for, then you'll be lost, because eventually it really is a very, very wide, deep ocean that can help your business accelerate in tremendous ways. So my first advice is know what you're trying to solve for. The second one is choose the right partners. Obviously, I believe that we're the best partners in the world, but choose the right partner for you. Maybe use case is very, very complex and complicated, and you need a platform that can go super deep into your data. And maybe you have quite a simple operation, and you don't need a very deep analytics solution that will drain your resources for no reason. So I think that making sure that you know what you're trying to solve and who's your partner, who's your best optimal partner is critical. The second is, or the third part, is make sure that you can measure the success of your analytics implementation. Know that you need to be able eventually to look back and say, I invested X and the return on investment was Y.
All right. That seems to be a lot of considerations, but would you say that's a journey worth going through?
I think it's a journey you must go through. You can't today run a business that doesn't have a culture, a data culture woven into that business. You'll be left behind. Your competitors are quite sophisticated in the way they leverage data assets to run their business. And if you won't join that trend, you'll be left behind.
All right. That's a lot to think about. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Tal.
We'll meet again.
Oh, absolutely. Looking forward to it.
Bye.